Now let's talk today about a specific heavy topic that a lot of community managers don't want to talk about when they start with their work as their first job or as their company is growing. And that is key performance indicators, or KPIs. So very often what happens with the community management work is that it is not really clearly understood by the whole company, by developers, by even your closest coworkers. And so you have a really hard time explaining how do you measure your work, because your work is very heavily based on dealing with human beings and communicating with them, right? So for me, and this is only my perspective, and I know that the opinions may vary and from person to person, but from my perspective, I think that it is extremely important to focus on four elements inside of your work. So those are the four KPIs that I usually track and that I usually care about. And this is based on 8+ years of experience in smaller and huge corporations. So number one topic and metric is growth of your platform. Now, a lot of community managers, the moment they see this video, are going to go to facepalm, or they're gonna think about other metrics right away, right? But growth is a constant, is a graph that is always going to go up unless you do something really bad. And growth is actually a good reflection on the overall status of what's going on and how many people you have in your community. So growth of your platform, whatever it is. Now those platforms can be forums, can be social media, can be Discord, Reddit, all of that stuff. So it can be really different kind of platforms that you're focusing on. And I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to tell you which platforms you should do, because it really depends from the game to game and platform to platform, and in your strategy overall. Right? We can cover that in another video. So growth is imperative. Growth is something that you need to be focusing just as like a thing in the back of your mind, right? Like it is something that is always going to be there no matter what. So how is your platform growing? Percentage increase over the weekly period, monthly period, and quarterly period is very important. So track that number. Put it in a weekly spreadsheet and track it. Just try to track it as much as you can. I know that there is a lot of insights and whatever tools that you can use, but it's the easiest way to just keep it locked into your own data set. Number 2, engagement, right? Engagement is something that literally always every week shows you how well your community is communicating with you, what they care about. Do they care about the game? Do they care about the conversation that's happening in your game or on your platforms? And how those communities are reacting to the conversation that's going on. Okay. I'm not talking here about Facebook engagement, YouTube engagement, Twitter engagement. Those numbers are already set by the platform, and they're already being calculated the way they want to calculate, right? You cannot bow to their numbers way too much. So what do I mean by engagement? I mean, how many people are reacting to your conversations? So comments and the number of actual active users that are participating in your community. That is your percentage of engagement. So X amount of people are playing a game, right? That's your daily active users, or whatever, however metric you want to call it, to determine how many people are actually playing your game. Then you have the percentage of people that are in the community platform, so on Reddit, Discord, your official forums, whatever it is. And then you have the percentage of those people that are actively engaged in your community. So try to think about, how do you calculate that, right? Is it the percentage of the people that are actively on those platforms, or whatever it is, right? But that's your engagement number. So whatever metrics you can get from those platforms, that is going to be your focus. So number of comments, number of replies, number of constructive feedback, number of all of those things combined, it's going to give you a much more better idea what is the engagement rate of your community. Now, this is very kind of like basic level structure of KPIs. I'm not going to dive deep into every single one, but I can in a separate video. So I can title it engagement or whatever it is. We can talk about it in detail. Number 3, product impact. Now, this one is very specific, so I need to dive it a little bit deeper into it. Product impact means listening to your players, listening to their feedback, taking that feedback from the source, so the forums, Reddit, Discord, whatever it is, taking it to the developers, having a meeting with them. Meeting, not email, not a link message or whatever it is, like right on Teams or on Slack. Going to your developers and telling them, hey, this is the situation, this is the feedback. And then making sure that you follow up on that feedback every step of the way. And then noting down that feedback that the player gave, coming back to the player, telling them that your feedback has been addressed in whatever way it is, and then adding that 1 point to your product impact KPI. Now, this is very important. You need to log this extremely carefully, because this way you, as the custodian of the conversation between players and developers, you are responsible to improve the game, right? To make the game better for the players. And the way you do that is to listen to the players, communicate with developers, and get the result. And the last part of getting the result is the core. If you don't get a result, then what is the point of listening to the people? What is the point of not coming back to the player that complained, or to the player that gave positive or constructive feedback? Right? So try your best to track that number. Extremely important. Because that way you are going to also extend the longevity of your game and your game as a service or whatever it is. And then number 4 is loyalty. Now, how do you measure loyalty, right? Like loyalty is not something that you make up, and you cannot really put a finger on it, but try. Okay, try your best. And loyalty is basically a combination of all of these 3 metrics that I mentioned. So as your community grows, as your engagement is consistently at a certain percent that you're happy with, and as you're impacting your product in a more meaningful way, that's how your loyalty gets calculated, right? That is how, so you have satisfied customer, a player. Yeah, they are customers. And they're engaged, and the number of them is growing. So what is that? Well, that is loyalty. That is the loyal customer that is going to come back after they're happy with the work that you've done, right? So try your best to sum all of these up into a single number that's going to indicate how well you're doing. Engagement is a good number because it's usually a percentage. So the lower your engagement is, the lower your loyalty could be. And so you need to motivate yourself to keep your engagement on a very, very specific number to keep your other numbers consistent if you're going to if you're going to measure it that way. So those are my 4 KPIs that I wanted to talk about. Again, we can dive deep into every single one, but I apologize, I cannot upload more than 10-minute video. So that's the reason. But we can go into deeper into deeper discussion about any of these topics, and I'm pretty sure we will. So please let me know if you would like to find out more about a certain topic that I talked about here. And I'm going to try to address it as much as I can. And as usual, thank you so much for your comments and everything else so far.